let's talk about what's going on with your job. Let's talk about what's going on with your job for a while.
I have a lot of jobs.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I wanted to talk about it because I was thinking about it. Like, you've been working in Hollywood in the entertainment areas of Hollywood for a very long time. Right?
Yes, I'm old.
Like, no, but I'm saying, for quite a while.
Yeah.
And you are openly conservative.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And a lot of people would have the question, like, how have you managed to make it in the industry and be allowed? Like, you still get to go to early press screenings.
Yeah, I'm treated well. I think I behave professionally. That helps.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom line is that every movie wants a PR. They want to have their reviews out there. So it doesn't matter whether who I am, what I do. If I'm being reasonably smart about it, they'll let me do it. So that's what's happened. I've missed some opportunities over the years, and there's also stuff you don't know you miss. But,
do you think that, like, because you're more likely to be critical in your reviews, that you're less likely to get opportunities for these screenings?
Yeah, I don't know. The screenings, I'm all in. I mean, and even especially the indie films, they are just desperate for publicity, and my heart goes out to them because they're up against it. I mean, they're up against these big blockbusters, so they're super cool with me. I'm super cool with them.
I guess that means the strikes can hurt you as well. They hurt film critics.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the content is flowing, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't get a ton of celebrity interviews at this point.
I was going to say, like, maybe the interviews are harder to get than the actual screenings because they understand. Like I looked through your reviews. We've covered your website on the show plenty of times. You have very, very unbiased and very, very reasonable takes on movies.
How dare you?
How dare you?
How
right?
dare you?
Yeah.
No, I'm trying. And I don't think I'm extra critical. I mean, I think I will mention this stuff. We'll talk about the Blue Beetle soon.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that my audience wants to hear about the politics, about the messaging. But at the end of the day, is it good? Is it fun? That's my bottom line. So
we did have the discussion where, like, you tweeted about Barbie, and then everybody dragged you.
My biggest regret.
Yeah.
Like, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't kill baby Hitler. I'd save that tweet. Just get rid
Don't
of it.
send that tweet.
That's right.
But, like,
why did people have such a visceral reaction to that?
They decided they liked it before they saw it. That's part of it.
Because it wasn't out yet.
Yeah, it wasn't out yet. It was I think it was like 2 or 3 days before it came out. It became part of this partisanship. I think maybe like feminists maybe enjoyed it, it was weird. It was weird. And it also spells why it's so successful. It has this built-in audience. The marketing was genius. People were dying to see it. They were dying to love it, and maybe a lot of them did. But it was odd. And actually, that upsets me because they hadn't seen it yet. And if they said something about my review that they thought was wrong and they argued with me, bring it on. I love it. But it's often this, you're a man, all these really...
And you don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it. Or just, you can't deny it's feminist. I mean, it's uber feminist. There's lectures in the movie. We can't go there. You could say, I like it. Fine.
What is, what out of all the movies that have come out this year, what one has surprised you the most?
Maybe Sound of Freedom because it was good.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like, low budget, on the shelf for 5 years. Yeah, I don't know. This year's been a big meh. Fast 10. Who cares? I'm bored.
I loved it.
Brett's
Did you
gonna get
really?
angry.
I like the franchise, but 9 and 10, I kind of out.
9 I did not like.
Okay.
9 is the only one I didn't like.
Jason Momoa saved it, though.
He was
the whole
fantastic.
movie. Yeah,
he was fantastic in that movie. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It makes no sense to gravity. It makes no sense in
Physics,
the space-time,
logic, out.
The space-time continuum essentially stops. Like, I have a theory, though, by the way. I'm just going to throw this in there. What I want for the final scene in the movie, like, if we're going to go ne'er-do-well, if we're going to go bad at the end and Dom finally, like, meets his match and we lose Dom at the end, what I want it to happen is he just runs out of gas. And, like, the very final scene is he can't get away.
He's hitchhiking.
He runs out of gas and, like, he can't just, it's like there's a big bomb, it's gonna go off, but of course it's Dom. You're like, he's gonna make it out of there, no problem. He's gonna hit the nos and he's gonna escape. And what happens is he's about to escape. He's gonna be outside the blast radius, and all of a sudden you just hear his car sputter, and it just stops, and the quarter mile is just, it's too far to see, and he's just, and that's how they end the Fast and Furious franchise.
That'd be beautiful.
It'd be amazing.
Or the engine light goes on.
How did you feel?
Son of a.
How did you feel about Mission Impossible?
I enjoyed it. I thought the story was tortured a bit. It was, first of all, the enemy is AI. It's not really a good enemy.
It's trendy.
Yeah.
It's trendy. It's of the moment for sure, but it didn't really have a punch to me. It was one of those movies where a lot of the dialogue is, and then we'll do this, and then this is the reason why we're doing that. It was very explanatory, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
That was for people like me.
No, but it just, a better story, it just flows. You don't need that. But then the last half hour was just insane.
Well, it gave
Stunts and-
that moment that you said you wouldn't want to see from more female action leads, where they have that moment of reckoning where they're like, "Eek, I can't deal with this. I need someone's help." And I forget the character's name now. What was the?
Oh, I already forgot her name. She's my favorite. She's my favorite character in the movie. I loved her in that movie.
Was it Haley Atwell?
Haley Atwell. I love
Haley Atwell,
Atwell's
yeah.
character. I
Like,
loved
her character had that moment. Which
I
was
liked her
nice.
character in general. She was good, interesting, mysterious, and you mentioned some flaws there too.
I think the reason I liked her so much is because we just come off watching Dial of Destiny, and I disliked Phoebe Waller-Bridge so much in that movie that seeing a flawed female future hero, because she's being groomed to be a future hero in the franchise, maybe not a spin-off, but she'll certainly appear in more movies because Tom Cruise is going to live forever, so he's just gonna keep making them. And I thought they handled her growth really, really well. She seemed flawed. Her action seemed plausible within the confines of the world they'd built around it. I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah. Good new character. Absolutely solid.
Watching the Mission Impossible movie after Dial of Destiny kind of made me zone out during the train scenes, fighting on top of a train.
But I think it did it better.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the Dial of Destiny scene on the train. I thought it was probably the best part of the movie. But
I also like anytime they're on top of a train, I'm like, you'd fall off. You're going that fast, you would have fallen off.
you're just like, your arms would be waving like the whole time.
Is there an interview that you've done that you feel like is the biggest you've done? Is like, who's the biggest person you've met?
Met Will Smith. I mean, before the incident, that was fun.
Yeah, tell us about like celebrity encounters. I love.
They're mostly pretty ordinary. The Rock I met, I think I think he had 12 or more interviews, like back to back to back to back to back. And by the time he got to me, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be exhausted. Nope, on it, sharp, engaging.
He gets up at 4 a.m. every day to work out. He's got endless energy.
He was amazing. He was amazing. So they're all well behaved. I interviewed Christian Slater. He was kind of a meh interview. He didn't really. I asked him some questions that were a little bit leading, but fair, because he had a lot of turbulence in his young life, and I was trying to just kind of get a life lesson out of it, like what did you come out of that with, kind of a thing, and he had nothing.
He was just thinking about hitting on that photographer.
Yeah, so I often would go to these events with a photographer, and they would shoot the actor as they were talking to me, so I get like an animated shot. And Christian Slater was flirting she wasn't my photographer, with the photographer from my paper, and I'm like, I'm trying to talk to you, dude, and he's like making faces at her and stuff. Like, come on, man. It was cheesy. It was absolutely cheesy.
Kind of endearing.
It's very old school Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Like,
had any rude celebrity encounters?
Almost none to none. I will say I was rude to George Clooney. I was on the set of the Perfect Storm, had a junket where you all fly out to like Boston area and you talk to all the stars. And he did the round tables and he was very nice and fine. And then I saw him going into his trailer and I bum rushed him. Like, I wanted to talk to him. Like, who the hell am I? And he's a movie star going into his trailer. Couldn't have been more nice. We had a great conversation. He was talking about "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," which I guess he was shooting at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that was before he was George Clooney, but still.
He wasn't the star he is now.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I give him credit. He was very nice. So, I mean, they're on their best behavior. I mean, if you're a jerk to me, then I'm going to report on it. So, it had to be nice.
What would you? Because there's a lot of people who exist in this space, especially on YouTube, where it becomes more about commentary than it becomes about the news, which is like, that's what we do.
Yeah.
What we do here is like, we talk a little bit about the story, but most of it is about what our opinion is on this issue. And that's fine. That's this bag right here. That's what we're doing. But there's got to be more people. Like, if we wanted to, we talk a lot about filling the space and changing the culture, right? Well, I think one of the ways that could change the culture is to find more conservatives, to work in the space that aren't there just to do commentary, but to actually report in a way that reflects their values, but is fair enough that they're going to be able to get those interviews. And that seems like a hard line to walk. What advice would you give for somebody who might be looking to do something like that?
Well, be a journalist, like a true journalist. Don't make things up. Don't report rumors. Don't go there.
Don't be us.
Don't. No, you guys don't do that. I mean, be fair, be objective when you can. Be transparent, obviously, and just let your readers know when you're doing certain things. I have an opinion thing on my site where if it's an opinion, it says it that.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves with news is they're very liberal with the use of like, they don't put that opinion label on a lot of articles now.
If you make a mistake, own it, show it, put an editor's note at the bottom of the story. Just be a straight shooter at the bottom line. And, I do want to impact the culture. I mean, I never thought I'd be here. I never thought I'd be that guy. But, and one of the things I talk about a lot is, and to me, it's apolitical, is free speech. I am like a dog on a bone with free speech. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop talking about it. I can't stop promoting actors and stars who promote, embrace free speech. I am obsessed with it. I really am. And I think it's so critical across the board. But I do Hollywood stuff, so that's where I cover it.
I suppose, has that been coming up a lot in regards to certain topics lately?
Everything. I mean, literally everything.
It's weird because celebrities don't seem to care much about free speech these days.
They're scared. Some of them are scared, for sure. It takes a risk to speak up about it.
Eugene is in the chat slandering us again, Mary. He's calling us serious journalists. That's.
I love that our job is not to be objective.
Yes.
And report facts.
Yes.
But I mean, I think when people watch your show and they get to know you two, they know who you are, where you come from. I think that's important. You're not hiding things,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you read a news report, I'll read Variety, The Hollywood Reporter. I know they have an agenda. I know they have a bias, but they're coming from it like, we're journalists and we're going to tell you the full story. You're full of crap. You're not telling me the whole story. There are so many great stories they don't even cover because it doesn't fit their narrative.
They were pretty fair in their interview with the Sound of Freedom director, I think.
They were very fair. And it took a while, though, because I think the initial was
they let all the other crap come up first, and then they decided to
when
be
he
fair.
sufficiently created distance between himself and Tim Ballard and Jim Caviezel, then they gave him some slack. But
when you cover this like I do, you just see everything. You just see all of it. And it's frustrating, too, because at the end of the day, you want it to be true.
Yeah, a lot of entertainment journalism now is just celebrating the actors for everything that they do and say to the most, like...
It depends what they say.
Well, I mean, yeah, depending on whether they're in the fold.
Yeah.
But it's like asking Sydney Sweeney what her favorite lip gloss is. It's not interesting. They're not asking about their work. It's more just about celebrity idol worship.
I love the idea of asking Sydney Sweeney, so what is your thought on packing the court? Like, just, I want to know what Sydney Sweeney thinks of Clarence Thomas. I do.
Either that or, like trying to headline mine them to get them to give the polarizing headline that they want.
And I'm sympathetic to that from the actor's point of view, because if I'm interviewing someone, they say something outrageous, I've got to use it. I've got to put that head right up in the story. And maybe that's not fair because maybe the rest of the conversation was really thoughtful and engaging and people will get that out of it, not what else they said. But it's also the game. And I mean, you have to be a straight shooter about it too. And also, I'm running a business and I need to get clicks too. And I've got that balance between maybe my headlines are a little bit more clickbaity than I used to be. And I admit to that, but I hoping that the content is good enough where it's going to balance it out. And I've got to draw eyeballs, If
you could interview Rachel Zegler for her promotion of Snow White right now, I know she can't do this because of the strikes, but if you had the chance, what kind of questions would you be asking her?
I'd start with a lot of softballs. I'd get her to kind of get a bond or a trust with us. Yeah, always have to do that. I interviewed Natalie Maines from the Dixie Chicks years ago.
The Chicks, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, my apology. And the first question went awry, and it wasn't my fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. The whole interview was terrible.
What was it?
I don't even know. I think she misinterpreted what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Oh, and you can't come back from that.
You can't come back. So,
especially when there's a misunderstanding at the core of it, because then it's just confusion, and confusion doesn't allow you to find common ground again.
Exactly.
So you start off with the softballs.
Right. I'd ask her a little bit of her life, her career, the gig. And then I'd say, when you give interviews like this, when you share those thoughts, that it's rather divisive and it seems like you're insulting the work you're trying to honor. Do you why do you say that, or would you say it differently? I mean, I just go directly at that point. I mean, you have to. I don't know how do you answer around it?
What are the hardball questions you'd be asking her?
I'd be saying, you're out promoting your movie. You're talking to all these people. You don't have to. It's your job. Your job is to get eyeballs to the movie. Why would you insult the source material that way? That kind of thing like that? Is that? I mean, that's. Yeah. I think that's straight and fair.
I have to ask her.
Well, she'd come up with some kind of BS answer.
But that's revealing to her.
Well,
then all I can do is ask the questions.
I love the original, but I just think that in 2023, we need a more proactive approach to, or we need to influence young girls to know that they can be leaders.
But then I'd say, but this material has been beloved for years and decades. Is that a conflict there? I mean, what's if it ain't broke, so to speak?
Right.
All right. Well,
I mean, and ultimately, as a journalist, you do the best you can. You ask the best questions, and the actors will reveal themselves. Yeah. And I don't want to debate them. That seems silly.
Yeah, like that becomes a hard part nowadays when everybody you have to be willing to listen and not make it about your point of view.
And it depends on the format.
If you're a journalist.
if I'm doing a feature interview, I can't go back and forth and back and forth. I can't have a debate with them. It kills the time. You've only got X amount of minutes with them, and that would be silly. So
that's why I wouldn't be able to be a journalist.
So now that we've got everyone here, tell everyone where they can find all this stuff.
So my podcast is the Hollywood in Toto podcast. I interview comedians, actors, screenwriters, and I love to interview people who have been canceled, people who have been punished for their thoughts. I've spoken to comedians, Jocelyn Chi, I believe it is. She told a joke about a Malaysian airline craft and all heck broke loose. I spoke to a filmmaker, Kaylin Ford. It's a heartbreaking story. She was a Canadian candidate for office. An absolute insincere cancel culture attack crushed her life, crushed her not just her electoral chances, like just in public, her whole public persona went just down south. And she bounced back and she made a movie about it. It's a great film. So just those people, I want to share their stories. And they're not superstars. They're not Tom Hanks or even Chet Hanks, but I love them. So, and then my website is hollywoodintoto.com. And of course on Twitter, it's @hollywoodintoto.
All right. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.